Every payday arrives with that quick shot of relief. Then a week later, the balance looks suspiciously thin and the stress returns. You pay what is due, you grab a few small treats because you earned them, and somehow the month still ends with questions. I have been around money long enough to know the core problem is not character, it is a lack of a simple operating system. When cash has no lanes, everything bleeds together, groceries mix with streaming, rent collides with an impulse upgrade, and the future gets whatever scraps are left. Today I want to hand you a clean, durable model that turns decision chaos into calm routine. It is called 50-30-20, and it is the fastest way I know to protect the essentials, enjoy life in the present, and fund the future at the same time. I will show you how to classify every dollar, set realistic percentages, and adapt the rule to your situation without losing the core benefits. If that kind of practical breakdown is useful, tap like so this reaches more people, and subscribe so you do not miss the ongoing experiments and deep dives I run each week. In the comments, tell me your current split in rough terms. Do you think your needs eat 60% or more, or are wants quietly climbing past 30%? Money gets simple when we define terms. After-tax income is the amount that actually lands in your account once taxes and payroll deductions are taken out. Needs are the unavoidable bills that keep you housed, insured, fed, and able to work. Wants are the nice-to-haves that raise your quality of life. Savings and debt repayment form your security and progress engine. With that language in place, I am going to give you a mental model you can run on autopilot. You will hear me repeat one principle a lot. When you make the rule the default, good decisions become the path of least resistance. That is how we get out of the loop where stress drives spending and spending fuels more stress. Let us set the goal, name the frictions that get in the way, and then flip the switch on a rule that makes your next dollar smarter than your last. Most people want the same three outcomes, even if we describe them differently. First, stability, which means the lights stay on, the rent or mortgage gets paid, no late fees hit, and you can absorb a normal surprise without panic. Second, enjoyment, because a life that bans coffees, birthday dinners, or travel forever is not a life most of us want to sustain. Third, progress, the quiet forward motion that builds an emergency buffer, knocks out debt, and plants seeds for retirement and other goals. Put numbers to those ideas and they get clearer. Stability looks like the ability to cover your fixed bills on time and hold at least one normal month of expenses in cash while you are getting started. Enjoyment looks like a consistent slice of your budget for discretionary choices that you do not need to justify or feel guilty about, provided they fit inside a limit you set in advance. Progress looks like saving 10 to 20% of take-home pay at a minimum, growing that toward 20% and beyond as your income rises or your goals demand it. A strong rule of thumb is a 3 to 6 month emergency fund over time, but you can phase that in logically, starting with 1 month, then 2, and so on. When people tell me they want to feel in control, what they actually want is a simple path where each dollar has a job and the system moves them closer to those three outcomes. That is the promise of 50-30-20. It uses plain percentages to align your spending with those goals automatically. Instead of asking yourself 100 questions every week, you answer 3. Are my essentials under the limit? Are my lifestyle choices under the limit? Am I paying my future self at least the minimum I promised? Your brain likes constraints because they reduce decision fatigue. Your budget benefits from constraints because they reduce leakage. If the model can run in the background while you live your life, you will stick with it. That is what we are building next. The friction points are predictable. The first is classification confusion. We rationalize wants as needs. A car is a need if it is your only way to get to work safely and there is no viable transit. A luxury upgrade to a newer model is usually a want. Basic groceries are a need. Premium treats and specialty items are wants. Health insurance is a need. A boutique wellness subscription is a want. When categories blur, wants crowd out savings and you do not notice until it is late in the month. The second friction is fixed costs that grew too big during a past decision. Rent that eats 45% of income or a car payment that swallows 15% leaves very little space for everything else. Even with perfect discipline, a math constraint can still break a budget. The third friction is irregular income. Freelancers, sales roles, and shift workers face good months and thin months, and that volatility makes it hard to stick to clean targets. The fourth friction is psychology. Decision fatigue, loss aversion, and social pressure wear you down. It is easier to say yes in the moment and figure it out later, but later always arrives. The fifth friction is timing. Bills hit at different points in the month, so the account balance looks flush right after payday, and you overcommit before fixed charges post. Underneath all of this is a simple truth. Without an easy operating rule, every purchase is a separate debate, and your willpower becomes the bottleneck. That does not scale over months and years. What we want is a mechanism that translates after-tax income into 3 lanes with clear speed limits. The lanes reduce debates. The limits protect your future self. The result is not perfect precision on day one, it is reliable direction. You do not need a spreadsheet PhD, you need a default you can trust and adjust. That is where 50-30-20 does its best work. Here is the mechanism in one sentence. Take your monthly after-tax income and allocate 50% to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings and extra debt payments. After-tax income means what actually arrives in your account after taxes and payroll deductions like health insurance premiums or retirement contributions that are already taken out. Needs are the essentials you must pay to live and work, such as housing, utilities, basic groceries, transportation to your job, insurance, core healthcare, and the minimum payments on any debts. Wants are the non-essentials that enhance your life, such as dining out, entertainment, travel, hobbies, fashion, and optional upgrades. Savings and debt repayment is the engine category, covering emergency fund deposits, retirement and investing contributions you make from take-home pay, and payments above the minimum on debts. The beauty of this rule is its simplicity. Multiply your net income by 0.50, 0.30, and 0.20 to set your targets. If your take-home is $3,000, the needs target is $1,500, the wants target is $900, and the savings and extra debt target is $600. This is a throttle, not a prison. In high-cost situations, you might shift to 60-20-20 for a season while you work a plan to bring needs down, or you might push to 50-20-30 if you are saving aggressively for a down payment. The mental model that helps is to picture 3 envelopes with those percentages stamped on them. Every incoming dollar is sorted automatically. Essential bills get funded first. Enjoyment has a clean ceiling. The future gets paid without asking for permission. Over time, you can automate these flows so that on payday your savings move out first, your bill money sits in a separate space with a clear limit, and your wants money is what you actually see for discretionary choices. That is, pay yourself first, combined with category caps, and it makes good behavior the default. Now I will show you what changes when you run the rule for a few months. When you apply 50-30-20, the first visible change is quiet bills. Essentials get paid on time because they live inside a protected slice. You stop mixing rent with restaurants, and the anxiety drops. The second change is clean trade-offs. Wants are not forbidden, they are bounded. You can take the weekend trip if it fits under the 30% ceiling, and the other categories are on track. That removes guilt and improves follow-through. The third change is compounding progress. That 20% directed to savings and extra debt starts small and gathers speed. On $3,000 take home, $600 per month builds $7,200 in a year. If you start with $1,000 in your emergency fund, you could reach $3,000 to $4,000 in a few months and then redirect part of that stream to debt acceleration or retirement as your cushion grows. The fourth change is clarity about where to optimize. If needs are at 58%, you know exactly where the pressure lives. That targets your effort toward rent negotiations, a roommate, refinancing insurance, or moving to a cheaper plan on your phone. If wants keep creeping to 40%, you tighten the fun money spigot before it eats progress. The fifth change is a sense of control, even in a rough month. The rule gives you a fallback plan. If unexpected costs hit, you temporarily compress wants to protect savings at a minimum level rather than reversing course entirely. Over 3 to 6 months, people who stick to the rule report fewer overdrafts, fewer surprise shortfalls, and a rising sense that money serves their choices instead of dictating them. That is the outcome we are chasing. Now let us translate this into concrete steps so you can set it up once and keep it running. Start with your average monthly after-tax income. If you are salaried, use the amount that lands after taxes and automatic deductions. If you are a contractor or your income swings, look back at the last 6 to 12 months, subtract business expenses and a realistic tax set aside, and use the average of the lower half of your months as your planning number. That conservative base keeps you safe in lean periods. Multiply that number by 0.5e, 0.30, and 0.2c to get your category targets. Next, list your recurring bills and essential costs and total them. Housing, utilities, basic groceries, transport to work, insurance, core healthcare, and minimum debt payments go here. If this total is above the 50% target, do not panic. Mark it, and we will decide how to rebalance in a moment. Now scan your last 2 to 3 months of card and bank history and tag the non-essential items. Eating out, coffee runs, subscriptions beyond the basics, entertainment, clothing beyond what you must replace, and travel live in wants. Everything left for future you is savings and extra debt. With the baseline mapped, set up your flow. On payday, move your savings and extra debt contribution first to a separate space. That is, pay yourself first. Park your needs money in a bill space you do not touch for anything else. The remaining balance is your wants pool for the month. If irregular timing creates spikes, split needs money by due date, so each bill has its portion reserved. During month 1, observe without trying to be perfect. If needs are high, find one candidate to lower within 60 days, like negotiating internet, adjusting insurance coverage, or canceling overlapping services. If wants are high, set a weekly cap that adds up to the monthly limit. Behaviorally, weekly caps are easier to follow than a single monthly number. If savings at 20% feels too steep, hold at 10 to 15% for a short defined period while your work needs down, then raise it toward 20%. The goal is a stable rule you can live with, not a heroic sprint you abandon. Let us run 3 quick scenarios. Imagine take-home pay of $2,000. The 50-30-20 targets are $1,000 for needs, $600 for wants, and $400 for savings and extra debt. If your rent is $800 and other essentials are $300, needs hit $1,100, which is $100 over. You could shift to a 55-25-20 split for a few months while you negotiate, or trim wants by $100 to hold savings at $400. At this income level, building a starter emergency fund of $1,000 to $2,000 is a priority, then attack high-interest debt with the extra. Now consider $3,000 take-home. Targets are $1,500 needs, $900 wants, $600 savings and extra debt. If you have a $5,000 credit card balance at 20% APR and you pay $200 above the minimum from that $600, the interest you avoid over a year is meaningful. Once the balance drops, you redirect the freed up dollars toward retirement or a big goal. Finally, $5,000 take home yields $2,500 needs, $1,500 wants, and $1,000 savings and extra debt. A household here could fund $500 to retirement, $300 to emergency savings, and $200 to extra debt each month. 12 months later, that is $12,000 moved to the future, not counting any employer match. If your income is irregular, anchor on a conservative baseline like $3,000, and when you have a $4,500 month, keep the percentages the same and route the extra into savings and sinking funds. Sinking funds are simply purpose-labeled savings for near-term goals like travel or car maintenance, so that when the expense arrives, it does not wreck your month. Notice the pattern. The rule scales gracefully. At low income, it protects essentials and builds a small buffer. At middle income, it balances lifestyle and progress. At higher income, it prevents lifestyle creep and accelerates investing. This is how you make sure more money turns into more choices, not more fixed costs. Real life is messy, so let us stress test the rule. In a high-cost city where rent consumes 40 to 50%, you might run 60-20-20 for a season. The key is to set a hard floor for savings at 10% so progress never goes to zero, then fight to reduce needs over time through housing choices, roommates, renegotiations, or career moves that improve income. If you have heavy student loans or childcare, your needs may hit 55 to 65% temporarily. Keep wants lean and protect at least 10 to 15% to savings and extra debt so your emergency buffer grows while you work the bigger levers. If you are pursuing a high savings goal like a down payment or early retirement, flip the dials to 50, 20, 30, or even 40, 20, 40 for a period. The trade-off is less discretionary lifestyle now for faster compounding and earlier options later. When debt is expensive, prioritize it. If your credit card APR is 18 to 24%, direct most of the 20% to extra payments until that balance is gone, while still putting something, even $50 per month, into emergency savings so a small surprise does not send you back to the card. The debt avalanche method, which targets the highest interest rate first, is mathematically optimal. The snowball method, which targets the smallest balance first, is psychologically motivating. Choose the one you will stick with. For irregular income, treat the percentage rules as your allocation on every deposit. On big months, you save and invest more. On thin months, you still contribute, just scale down. Over a quarter, review the average to maintain your targets. Taxes belong outside this rule because we are working with after-tax money. If your paycheck already pulls a retirement contribution pre-tax, you can decide whether to count that toward your 20%. I like to count it, so the total picture is honest. Finally, avoid dropping savings below 10% for long stretches. Even modest, automated contributions build the habit and keep the future funded while you solve today. Once the system is in place, maintenance is light. Set a 15-minute weekly check to glance at your needs and wants balances, and a 30-minute monthly review on the same day you pay rent or your biggest bill. In that review, ask 3 simple questions. Did needs stay under the line? Did wants stay under the line? Did I hit my savings and extra debt target? If 2 months in a row you miss in the same place, change the system rather than relying on willpower. That might mean dropping one subscription tier, moving an insurance deductible to lower the premium, adjusting your meal plan to cut grocery waste, or setting a smaller weekly wants allowance that adds up to the monthly ceiling. When you get a raise, split it using a simple rule. Keep some for lifestyle, send some to savings. If you boost your take-home by $200, you might add $60 to wants and $140 to savings and extra debt. That protects enjoyment while accelerating progress. Use milestones to stay motivated. The first $1,000 saved feels small on paper and huge in practice because it breaks the emergency cycle. Hitting 1 month of expenses, then 3, then 6, each unlocks peace of mind that compounds. As your emergency fund stabilizes, reroute more of the 20% toward retirement and investing, prioritizing low-cost diversified funds if that fits your plan. The rule is flexible, but it is not a guess. Write down your current percentages, make one change you can implement in the next 30 days, and automate the parts you can. If this breakdown helped, tap like and subscribe for more clear, numbers-first guides. In the comments, tell me your next action. Are you committing to a 55-25-20 split while you tame rent, or pushing wants down to 20% for a quarter to fast-track your emergency fund? I read the comments, and I will pick a few to reply with specific tweaks. Your money can be calmer than it feels today. Give it lanes, give it limits, and let the rule do its quiet work.